everyone. Welcome to CRE Power Hour. My name is Lisa Marie Wand, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Stephanie Gillison. And we've spent the last 2 decades growing and scaling our commercial real estate businesses. And together, we are bringing you a space for you to learn alongside the best in commercial real estate at CRE Power Hour. Today, our guest is Anthony Gaitan, and he's from Florida. He's also from Crexi that we love, Crexi.com, and we're so excited to have him on the show. So let's get right to it. Hi, Anthony. Welcome, and thanks for being here with Stephanie and I today.
Thank you, Lisa Marie. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
So tell us all about Crexi Auctions. Give us the high points and why it would be a great option for a lot of property sellers, buyers, and commercial real estate brokers out there.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think auction is really, I've been doing this for about 10 years. And it's really the most efficient way to move real estate. We do it in a very condensed time period. We set a time, a date. We have a marketing process for 45 days. It's an awesome timeline to get something done. We put a lot of pressure on our sellers and buyers to create activity and energy around that deal. And I think that we're doing a really good job of closing deals, as Stephanie can attest to. And so this is a process that's been perfected over a long period of time. And I think that we're finally really seeing the fruits of it. And we're still driving and continue to drive traffic to the site because we're executing at a high level.
Absolutely. And Anthony's right. I'm a massive fan of auction. And, the first question I always get when I put an auction out is, oh, well, it's a distressed property. No, these are not distressed properties. These are properties that we know are in high demand. And as a broker, I want to minimize my deal cycle. I don't want to put a property out to market, have it tied up for 6 months of due diligence, and wait around to see if the buyer's actually ever going to close, right? And so, we've had some really good success with hotels, land. I love this because I asked Anthony a few weeks back, I said, what's your number one asset you're moving right now on Crexi? And you told me?
Hotels,
and I love that because it's true. We did one. We talked to the seller. We said, listen, we want to get you the most money possible. We also wanted to close as quickly as possible because that was their big fear in selling. They didn't want this thing tied up for 6 months and waiting and seeing if it was going to happen. When it was off market before we listed it, someone approached them, tied them up for 8 months. Deal never came to fruition. And I'm going to say this right now because it's true. We got that seller $1 million more at Crexi Auction than he even wanted or even anticipated. And that's what I love about it because, we had right down to the last second, it was exciting as all get out of people fighting over this property.
And your clients watching the auction with you, right? They're there at that last, the last 45 minutes or an hour. And so it's this countdown, it's this timer ready to get off, to go off, and it's super exciting, right?
Yeah, I think that's the one thing it surprises a lot of people is that it's a lot of fun to sell real estate online. And it's like you feel like you're a day trader on that day.
Yes.
It's execution day, and we're going to go and we're going to sell this thing today. And it's game day. And I think it's once you do it, you get addicted to it and you want to do more.
Yeah.
And because there's nothing like trading on auction day. There's also, missing on auction day, and that's really hard too. So there's no worse feeling than missing. So we do a good job trying to vet our deals and putting up good opportunities for our buyers.
Absolutely. So Anthony, talk about what that would look like to miss on auction day, just so we can, we can see the celebration, the instant gratification, but what's the other side of that look like?
Yeah, no, in some cases, there might, I'll give you an example. One of our worst property types right now is office. Not a lot of appetite for office right now, especially in suburban markets. So, oftentimes I get people who call in and say, hey, can you take my office at $100 a foot? I'm like, okay, well, where is it? It's in some secondary market and there's no tenant and there's never been a tenant for 5 years. And I'm like, I don't know if you're going to find one, so I throw out 10 to 30 a foot sometimes, and it frustrates a lot of people, but they usually come back. They come back, and I think, by doing that and having a hard line in the sand on certain products, especially the ones that aren't trading well, we've increased our buyer list because people tend to see that we're continuing to put out deals at a really good price. It's a really good important part. But like I will say on auction day, the sad part is when, if we do miss on price and we didn't do a good job pricing it, sometimes people don't show up. Maybe there's one or two bidders and they bid, half of the reserve. And so what's interesting about that metric is when you see bids don't hit the reserve, you're able to, you're having a live feed of real-time pricing. So even if we didn't hit the price, we're starting to see, oh, wow, office is trading here consistently on a price per foot. And we're seeing it in real time. I feel like in August of last year, I started to see a discount in that product type because I was missing by like 30%. And that's not, I don't ever miss by that much. And so I was like, okay, I started adjusting my pricing. And again, I started hitting more. So we get having all this real-time feedback has been awesome for us to price deals in real time and tell you, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, this is the 30-day all cash close value. We're not trying to go get you the top dollar, but if you give it to us at this price, you might get action north of that. But you need to be there and you need to excite the buying community.
Yeah, I love it. And the thing, and it is so true because it's almost like in the car dealerships, right? When they're buying used cars or they're looking at your trade-in value, they're looking at what they're selling for at auction because that's what the value is. What are people paying at auction is what the value of that car is. And so like for us, putting things on the market, I love the fact that it's me as the broker, and I've got an entire team as people know. But with Crexi, I've got an additional entire team because we are just on this one property that we're working on right now that'll go to auction in a couple weeks. We've had over 192,000 impressions right into people's email box that are looking for that product specialty type of what that property is. Just think about the marketing power behind that. To partner with a data-driven machine like Crexi to truly hone in, not put out a bunch of marketing that falls into people's laps that have absolutely no interest or can even afford, to do the deal, but it's getting put into those that do have the liquidity, that do have the interest, that are in that space. And that's the power that I find in Crexi all the time. I mean, Anthony, I'm going to ask you something that, we haven't even prepared for, but maybe this. How many total users are searching on Crexi every single day to buy commercial real estate?
Yeah, we have 1.5 million active users a month.
So 1.5 million active users a month. I mean, that's power. I know as a broker, no matter what I want to say or do, there's no way I can get my properties into 1.5 million users every day.
And the cool thing is we're really transparent with our leads. So every lead that hits that website is yours.
Yeah.
And yours to keep forever. And so,
that's right.
And since we're a national platform, you're going to have exposure to other states and perhaps get new clients, from other states that you might not have had.
And other countries, because we found now that other countries are utilizing Crexi, because I've received a few leads over the course of the last few months from other countries, because that is what they're searching to find opportunities in the United States to buy. And that's even bigger because, look, global people want to invest in the US. So you've got to take it out to those markets.
And I like the fact that I brought a couple of clients through commercial sellers through the Crexi auction platform, talking to the team and going through the process. And I can say that you do a really good job of educating the seller, holding their hand, because this is not something that people do every day, although it's becoming much more common. Will you talk, Anthony, about the customer interaction with the seller and like what's going on behind the scenes? Because Stephanie and I are still marketing and brokering these deals, although we're going to change it probably to price unavailable, right? We're not going to have the price out there. Talk about how you service the seller directly and walk them through that process.
Yeah, great question. From the starting point, usually I deal with Stephanie and she, we discuss the deal first, and then we'll do a call with the seller and discuss pricing. Usually I'm playing the bad cop and say, hey, look, this is what I think it's going to be, and then Stephanie smooths it over with the client. So.
That's the truth. I love it. It puts me always in the good light.
Yeah. And so So I have no problem playing the bad cop. We're a volume shop, and we got to put up stuff that trades. And so I have to be very cut and dry with my pricing. And so anyways, we have a great working rapport, and I think her and I have been able to do well because, we do a good bad cop, good cop act.
You got your
and,
shtick down.
Also, we assign somebody from my team who's a client manager, and we have weekly calls. So we do these weekly update calls with the broker, the seller, and our client manager. And so what's also nice about that is you get multiple points of feedback to the seller. So it's not just Stephanie telling you, it's also our client manager from Crexi saying, and we're all pounding with the information. Like this guy's telling me it's 20 a foot. This guy's telling me $25 a foot. This guy doesn't like it because of the roof. And we just start pounding information. And so we, over that 45 days of marketing, we're giving so much feedback to the seller that say, look, this is why this is priced, and this is why people want to pay X. So you can let it go there or not sell it. You can hold on to it,
That's right.
and make your choice, but don't, come to us and cry about the price. This is what we do. We aggregated bidders, and this is what it's coming in at. You can sell it or not,
And it's also impressive because every single week we're also doing the marketing call with the seller so that they're seeing the dashboard. They are truly seeing who has signed the confidentiality agreements, who has registered as a bidder, who's uploaded the proper proof of funds, who's been an approved bidder. But it's all an open book. So they're seeing everything. Every single week, they have the ability to ask anybody on Anthony's team himself, anybody in the marketing department, what that means or what does that look like? And they're also giving them a ratio as to, this auction is performing 32% better currently than the average, which also gets people excited because if we're going to have that kind of activity and that amount of eyes on this property, and then we get to auction day, and let's say, which I know we're going to do it and it's not a big deal, but let's pretend we don't get to that reserve. That seller's going to have a really, really, really easy decision to make. And that's going to be, well, shit, who is the highest bidder? We need to get it sold. And because there's no way you can have that much interaction and nobody willing to pay their price, right? It means their price is wrong. And that's what I love about it because it's an open book. There are no secrets. It's not like traditional. And maybe that's why I love it so much because, Lisa Marie, you and I both are not the traditional commercial real estate brokers anyway. Mm-hmm. We love to do business with others. We love to just put it out there and work and collaborate and get deals done. That's what it's about. Get deals done. And then you've got the old farts in the business that, want to keep everything a secret and not want to co-op and a co-broker and all that stuff. And then guess what? They don't have as much money in their bank accounts as we do, right?
No. And you're right. That's our job. Our job is to help people buy and sell commercial real estate and businesses and to do it at a high level. And I really like the fact that the Crexi auction process can flood our client with a tremendous amount of information, which provides them with enough detail that when it gets to auction day and the property sells, that they can feel really good about how their auction performed. And then in my case, with a couple of clients last year, because, we still have some of that where sellers think their property is worth more and buyers think it's not worth as much. And this is a great tool for the auction. And what happened with both of my clients last year was they decided to pull it off the market. So you can't sell a property if it's not there, but they weren't happy with what the reality of the situation was at the time, just based on their circumstances. So this can help us as brokers serve more people that are motivated, that have a timeline, that want to go, they want to sell. And then for those that aren't ready, then maybe we circle back with them later.
Yeah. And I think it's a good use of your time now. You don't have to waste time on a listing that they're never going to come down on price. And the reality is it's not 2019, 2020. And it feels like just yesterday. But a lot has changed in the last 3 years, and a lot of people still have a number implanted in their head, and you have to have a real conversation now about pricing.
And some of them they're holding on to that number like for dear life, and we can't help those people. And, maybe another day. So maybe not today, maybe another day. So let's talk about, there's another auction platform out there, that, and I believe, and Stephanie obviously believes, that Crexi is way better. So talk to us about what's the difference? What makes Crexi so much better than this other auction platform out there?
Well, any other. Well, I had the, I'm fortunate to have been at that other one, but I had, and I had a good run there. I think what really impresses me about Crexi the most, again, I've been doing this for about 10 years. But what Crexi has done is kind of fill the gaps of a lot of things that we didn't fill in over there. We're an all-in-one platform. So not only are we going to have listings for lease and sale, but we also have data and auction all in one place. And why that's effective, if you look at the other platforms, they're a little disjointed.
Siloed. They're siloed.
Yeah, exactly. One's a marketplace, one's an auction, and one's a data place. And so you have to go to 3 different places and pay 3 different fees to get all of that, right? And so I think while we've done that is we've centralized everything into this one platform, and the benefits to that has been our auction platform, because not only are people going to go to the sale and lease platform, actually, what's interesting on the lease side, the second we launched leasing, we started doing better with delivering on vacant deals that needed an owner user, which is really hard to pull in an auction. Because what happens is that they start looking for space, then they gravitate towards the auction page, and they're saying, oh, there's a vacant building in an area that I was looking, and now all of a sudden they went from a lease to a buy. So it's been interesting when you have everything all in one place, you start people poking around all through the site, and now it's been helping our auction business by adding leasing. You never think there would be a correlation there, but there was.
Yeah. Well, it's increasing your traffic. Like you said, everything's enmeshed in one. And so somebody looking to lease a vacant industrial complex could end up, bidding on one where maybe they wouldn't have done that before, because they're looking in all these separate areas of these commercial real estate retail platform. So I think that's really interesting. And how long has Crexi Auctions been live? How long have they been around?
We've been around for 4 years now. And so I've been here for just around 3. And I would say we really have caught on fire the last 18 months.
Yeah.
And I'd say we're really starting to peel some market share from our competitors, and really making strides. And it feels really good. We have a really strong, solid team, a lot of formers from the other place. And, I feel very confident that we're going to continue to grow and do really well.
So for our, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's good. That's good input. For our audience watching today live, and those that'll be watching our live show or listening to our podcast later, talk about approaching a client who's, let's say, a traditional commercial real estate seller, and they haven't even had the idea of auction in your mind, but then as a broker, we're like, wait a minute, this is a conversation that we should have to service our client at a high level. Talk about commercial real estate brokers, opening up this Pandora's box with their clients.
Okay. In terms of how to bring it up. Okay. I would say, the first 2 things I look at are the narrative to sell. I want to hear a good story as to why they're selling, because if there's no sense of urgency on their end, it's not going to be as successful, in my opinion. I look more for that narrative than I do the asset.
Yeah.
And so the second you feel like there's a narrative where there's urgency from the seller, automatically think auction, because we can do it in a very condensed time period, and you'll get flooded with leads, and you'll do it and you can transact very quickly. The other thing is, a lot of times people think it's distressed, but we also do like the Picassos, like art. Art trades in auction all the time. A lot of people want art, or nice things. And so same thing with commercial real estate. If it's an asset that a lot of people want, a lot of people will show up, even if it's not distressed. And so it's a platform for all, but I would say the seller is the most important part of anything. You need to understand what's motivating them to sell and the sense of urgency behind it.
Absolutely. And I think we can, and it's not, I think we can control that narrative. I'm very, very quick to explain to any seller out there, look, are you interested in selling? Answer's yes. Everything's always for sale. Do you want to go through a 9 to 12 month period from start to finish? Or do you want to see action in 90 days or less? Everybody wants action in 90 days or less. Okay. So that's how I do it. I want to talk about the maximum exposure that they're going to get that no broker on earth is going to be able to deliver. That's number one right there. Number two, I also want to talk about how my commission's going to be this number, and that's what they're going to pay me. And then the buyer's going to pay that premium to take care of the other side, right? And so it actually helps them in the long run, and it puts a little bit more money into their pocket. But the other thing that helps is that it's an extra layer of security. And what I mean by that is Crexi's going to run these bidders' credit cards for a pretty hefty amount of money to make sure they're legitimate. Two, they've got to submit proof of funds that layers are going through layers to make sure. I mean, there's so much fraud in this world. We all know that. We all know that. I don't know how many years, 24 years I've been in this business. I don't know how many times. I can't even count on all of my fingers and toes how many times somebody has submitted a bogus bunch of crap and can't afford, they don't even have 2 nickels to rub together, right?
You're wasting everybody's time.
Right. And they're out there. They're serial time wasters. And I mean, they still exist in this world today. And Crexi gets rid of all what I call noise and BS, right? So I don't have to deal with that. And when the buyers that are inquiring call me up and say, well, is this a distressed property? Absolutely not. It's not a distressed property. The reason I'm taking it through auction is, one, I want to know that the buyer's legitimate before I ever have a conversation with you. So I need you to go back on that platform, sign the CA, and upload your proof of funds. Then I'll have a call with you. Period. It's business. It's business. Let's do business the right way. Right. And so that's what it's about for me. When you're doing the volume and you have as many listings as my team does, we could get anywhere. And I love Crexi for this as well, because, we're on all the advertising platforms. We're everywhere, but we get so many leads from our Crexi listings because we've mastered how to put those on. And Crexi's really good about making sure that everything's, 100%. So we're getting, on average 20 to 35 leads every single day of the week. That's a lot of noise to waste time on if they are false buyers just out trying to waste time, right? So that's what I love about it. I do a lot with publicly traded companies, and as the seller and as the buyer, and they're liking this process going through Crexi. And to me, if it's passing something that is SEC, you're right, SEC, they got to follow all those requirements, then it's good enough for all the rest of my sellers.
And that's a good segue for another point I'd like to make about that is the data that we provide, not just the leads, but a lot of times we do work for loan servicers that need to prove stuff to bondholders. And so the data that we provide is how many CAs were signed, how many people looked at it, how long it was marketed, who was it marketed to. And it's a very condensed report that can be delivered to somebody and said, hey, this is what we did over 45 days. At the end, we had 7 fully qualified bidders, 3 people bid on it, and this guy was the winner, and that's how it plays out. And I think a lot of, especially like loan servicers, institutional type accounts, they love to have that because they're always putting a report in front of a committee and stuff. So they need that stuff.
Yeah.
They need documentation.
Lisa Marie, here's something that was exciting. So on the last auction that we did, we had a buyer upload a $1.4 billion proof of funds. Think about that. That's a lead for life, like you said. That's a lead for life. In that product specialty, the next go around of anything I get in that asset class, that is the lead I'm sending it to. Obviously. And the 1,000 other ones that or more than that even, right? So you talk about market share. You talk about, you hear commercial brokers go, how are you generating business, Stephanie? What are you doing to get these listings? What are you doing to do this? What are you doing to do that? Keeping my data, look, Crexi for $249 a month to have all my listings out there, and then to do these auctions and to get that kind of lead traffic. I mean, we have leads for years and years and years, which is huge.
Yeah, that's great. And I really like your narrative with the seller is the same that I've used in the past with the auctions, the Crexi auctions, is we can save them time. We can save them they have that market
maximum exposure in the shortest amount of time
right away.
Maximum exposure in the shortest amount of time for maximum dollar. Yes. That's what I deliver, and that's why I partner with Crexi, and that's what I tell everybody.
Yes. Thank you for using your words for my words, because it's the same thing. Because that's what I love to tell clients, that we're going to get you the most amount of money in the least amount of time for the least amount of stress. And it sounds like Crexi Auctions definitely fits the bill in a period of time where we need as much exposure and momentum in the commercial real estate market as possible. There's just no doubt about it.
Well, you know, Lisa Marie, we get reached out to all the time by juniors in the business. They're coming into the business, or maybe they have a desire to be in commercial, and they're always saying, Stephanie, how do I get started? Lisa Marie, how do we get started?
Yes.
And, you know, this is what I told people, probably 40 different people last week alone, because we were at our conference. And I said, listen, I want you to get on Crexi, and I want you to look for the people that have a loan coming due, because it's changing. Right? Like when they go visit the bank, they're going to have a massive rude awakening. That deal may no longer pencil. It may not be worthwhile to keep because it's no longer going to be income producing for them. Right? And I said, and they go, but then what do I do when I get a listing? I said, you're going to tell them you're going to auction it with Crexi, and you're going to let Anthony do all the work. Here's his cell phone number. Call him and let him know that I told you this. Think about that. To get started in commercial real estate, if you're good on the phone, and you can bring Anthony to the table, my goodness, you're in business, right?
Yeah, because we give you people to call. Like sometimes you get a listing, and even if you get the listing, you're sitting around trying to figure out who to call and who to sell this to. This creates action right away just through our normal listing platform. And then through the auction process, you're going to have this very condensed timeline. So then you get flooded with inquiries too. So it's really good. That's a great point. For a starting out broker, it really is impactful for your beginning of your career to just make connections, meet people that are buying and selling. Because that's a hard thing to do early on in your career.
That's the hardest part is everybody, even though, you know, whenever I coach or speak to agents, I always ask questions and people raise their hand. And then when I ask them, well, how many times have you made money on those people? And then nobody raises their hand. Nobody understands that their sphere. They're scared to ask their sphere for business. It just is what it is. Well, then create your own sphere and do it this way. This is a way to get started. This is a way to actually make money quickly, right? Instead of everybody saying it takes 3 years to make anything in commercial real estate. That's bullshit too, because I was able to do it. And this is a way to do it. So, you know, there's so many ways out there, but that's what I would say to all, you know, and this is why we do this show, Anthony, too, because we have a lot of people that follow us that are inspired by trying to get into commercial real estate and how to go about doing it. And here's a prime example of how.
Yeah. And for me, you know, even when I started the business in the early 2000s, they essentially handed you a phone book and said, go make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is one of the most difficult ways to make the conversion rate on that is so low because these people don't know you.
Yeah,
exactly. And so now all you have to do is really find that first listing, which again is really hard. But if you do find it, now you have all these people calling who like it. And then you have a reason to talk to them. Even if they're not a buyer on your deal that you have listed, you can
find
talk
out
to them
what
about
they're a buyer of and then go find it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I do like there's so much transparency with Crexi, and I really like that because it helps support the broker very much to be able to do their job at a higher level. And I say, you know, if you have a listing, besides, you know, picking up the phone and calling people that you get connected to through Crexi or through your sphere, I have my team go out and canvas now, and we take flyers of properties we have for sale, and we just go talk to people at businesses, and we've had huge success with that. And when I get a deal that's off market, the first thing I do is look at my CRM and go, who can I call today and say, you're at the top of my list of someone who might want to purchase this property, and find out what their interest level is. So it's not just about picking up the phone book and dialing for dollars, because it works, but it doesn't work very often. It's getting those connections and then connecting people with properties. And it sounds like that the Crexi auction platform is another high level way to do that. It's exciting.
It
really is.
So what else you got? What else do you want to share with us, Anthony? What have you learned in your 10 years in the commercial auction business?
Well, I can tell you right now that the next 18 months is going to be very busy for us, and as well as a lot of brokers. So, a lot of people see the news and the headlines, there's panic out there about commercial real estate, but for us, and for agents like yourself, brokers like yourself, it's, whether it's going down or up, we're active, right?
I'm busy. We're busy.
Very busy. Yeah. And so there's opportunity out there, to Stephanie's point, there's a lot of international activity, buying up US, but moreover, there's also a lot of loans coming due. Again, to Stephanie's point, that's going to happen over the next 18 months. Bridge loans are coming due, and they can't fulfill their balloon payment. And a lot of that is just going to continue to happen, and it's just going to cause distress in the market, and it's going to just, I think the auction space is going to blow up even more in the next 18 months.
And this economy, there's a lot of cash. There's a lot of people that can buy those opportunities. And that's why, that's why I'm a hunter. Everyone on my team has been trained to be a hunter. We're out there hunting for who needs a problem solver, because that's what we are. Yeah, we're commercial brokers, but more importantly, we're problem solvers. Yeah. And the problem solvers take these times, see the full-blown opportunity, and get busy. So I know for a fact I'll have a lot more auctions on the Crexi platform. It's going to be, my full-time gig of hunting, finding the opportunity, calling Anthony, going, I got another one.
I love to hear that. The other thing too is, like, we get oftentimes we'll get sellers that call us direct, and we're not trying. We hire brokers for the deal, So, like, I always take deals back to the people that bring me deals, especially in a certain market. It's just easier to do. Oh, they were successful. They did the job, and really, you'd be shocked how many brokers don't do a job. And so,
we're not shocked by that.
We are not shocked at all.
and so for me, it's like, when you have somebody that just makes the calls and shows up to the marketing calls, that's it. That's all you got to do. And we'll have a better chance at success. Sometimes you're not always successful, but that just doing the simple things will help you get a deal done with us.
Right. And that's one of the many reasons that Stephanie and I do this show, not only because we get newbies in the business that come to us all the time, wanting to know how they can get started. And so a lot of our guests on here, we ask them to just, uncover the veil and show the hidden gems and talk about what they really do on a day-to-day basis to be successful. But the other thing is, we want to create generations to come of badass, kick-ass commercial real estate agents and brokers that aren't just sitting around with their feet up on the desk waiting for the deals to come to them, because those days are over. They've dwindled away, and it doesn't work anymore, and it doesn't give our profession a good name. So we really want to help people level up and go out there and create the business that they want and connect with those people, so they can have a successful business and people can go on and buy and sell properties and deal with high-level commercial real estate agents and brokers, not the good old boys that are, they got a layer of dust on their desk and they're just waiting for someone to come knock on their door. It's true.
And you don't have to worry about insulting them, Lisa Marie, because they're never going to get to Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube.
They're not here. They're not our audience, right, Stephanie? Not at all. Not at all. And we love to see young and up-and-coming men and women and minorities coming into this business to make it a better, more well-rounded career. No doubt about it. So appreciate your input, Anthony.
Yeah, the thing I'll also add to that is, a lot of people think that we were going to come in, just in general, the auction business and online sales. They felt that we were going to come in and take their jobs. No, we want to be collaborative with the brokerage community. We are, Crexi especially is a broker-first platform.
Yes.
Like I said, when sellers bring us deals direct, we plug in brokers. Right. We want the brokers to be successful on our platform.
And I'm glad you touched base on that, Anthony, because there's a lot of agents that say that to me. I'm not going to lose my commission. No, guys, you don't lose anything. You just get an added arm and this, powerful team to help you do your job, basically, because they're thinking about the other auctioneers, the localized auctioneers. That's exactly what they want to do, is take the deal 100% and then give you a little dinky referral fee, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't work like that. The other big point that I want to also make sure we mention is that Crexi doesn't cost a seller upfront marketing dollars like the local auctioneer guys do, right? About how you have to pay up front for the marketing that's going to take place. No, it doesn't cost anybody any money. I love the fact that Crexi earns their money the exact same way I earn my money.
By working.
Genius.
And we get to keep, as brokers, we get to keep more of our commission in the auction setting. There's no doubt about that, because we have our agreement with our client, and then the buyers are going to be bringing some money to the table as far as fees and things like that. So, and we have a dedicated team of people that are working to bring up the momentum and the interest in the activity 45 days prior to the auction. So, I mean, I don't see anything negative about it. Do you, Stephanie?
No, I love it. They're, like I said, I'm all about, majority of the sellers I work with, they are ready to sell. They are ready to have it sold. They don't want to, tiptoe around and
prolong the process,
stigmatize their property because it's been on the market 1,087 days, which I called on the listing yesterday. And I'm like, 1,087 days, really? I mean, gee whiz, something's wrong there. I mean, newsflash. But that's what this is about, and also taking advantage. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in a year, right? And that's what I always tell my sellers. Look, I have no predictions, and nobody in this world does, because everybody says something different depending on what news station you watch. But if you want to sell, I'm ready to sell it. And this is the way we're going to do it. And they're like, yes, ma'am, let's go.
Yeah. And I'll also say too, and I'm very appreciative of, Stephanie, because once you have somebody like her and you build a rapport, you've had success, you've had failures, but you've also, when she brings me a deal, I don't even think twice, because I just said, you know what? I know she's doing it. She's not trying to waste her own time. I just know her so well.
I know that.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
the only time wasted is if you and I get a vodka in Vegas. That's it.
Yes,
I mean, that's the only time we've ever wasted together.
Totally. and I got to tell you, I've built rapport with other brokers and other markets, and it's really nice for us because we're a volume shop. We're trying to put up as much as possible, but we want to put up good deals. We want to put up vetted deals. And so that takes a lot of pressure off me to have people like Stephanie who just bring you deals, and you, in the back of your mind, you just know she's not going to waste her time. She's probably bringing me a deal that needs to sell or has a reason to sell, and she just checks a lot of boxes for me before I even see it. So
Absolutely.
I'm very appreciative of that, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. And I mean, that's how I am with all listings. I mean, I don't take things that aren't sellable, because that's a hobby at that point. And I'm in this to make money. No secret.
Exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of agents take overpriced deals or unsellable deals just so they can have more listings, but it's just a complete waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of money. And yeah, we all know that Stephanie is, she's no nonsense. Like, she's badass. She gets right to it. I have my own style. I'm a badass too. We're a little bit on the different ends of the spectrum, but it works. And
Lisa Marie will hug you. I'll just slap you. No.
Wait, how about if you slap them first and then I'll hug them after?
Exactly.
I'm happy for both.
People pay good money for that. So, okay, let's just say it.
I'm a nice person. I just put up this tough exterior. That's
She
it.
is. She's really nice.
That's it. Well, Anthony, this has been awesome. Thanks so much for coming on here today. Hopefully our audience learned a lot more about Crexi and, got a lot of questions answered, and we've educated them, and, your phone's going to ring.
Well, thank you for having me. I love being on here. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys, and I look forward to doing more deals.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thanks for being here. CRE Power Hour. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.